Lewis, what is on the cover of the Telegraph?
Israel again.
Oy
right?
vey. Oy.
Israel on the brink of a hostage agreement. And this is an interesting story because basically, the ambassador to the United States from Israel said that there might be an agreement. Mm-hmm. And Netanyahu, who's the prime minister, president of Israel, he said
you're very informed.
He said there isn't, and they're arguing, and they say they might release 50.
12. They were like 12, more than 12, dozens of 12.
Right. Which isn't, can I just say this? This is something that Israel does. They've done historically. They've paid a lot of attention to getting the hostages out. Yeah. No one left behind, like what they say with the Marines in America. And I personally think that a lot of people are saying that might be a mistake to do. That, you gotta fight to get them all out and stop it from happening again.
Well, there's different things. I mean, Kerry, this is good news. I mean, that surely, I know it is, Israel's priority is to bring them home, to bring these 240 hostages back. We have babies, there are children. I was just with someone earlier this evening who has their cousin who has been kidnapped. I mean, I don't think people appreciate what a small country it is and how everybody's been impacted.
I think also it's we've got to wait to see what Israel has to agree to. A ceasefire for a few days is certainly on the cards.
Which is what they're talking about.
But this is being brokered in, the peace talks being hosted in Qatar, which is, of course, also the country which hosts the leaders of Hamas, and the country which hosted peace talks a few days ago. Not peace talks, actually, but talks on what to do about Israel-Palestine with Assad and Iran involved and so on.
Yeah, I mean, Assad's only killed 600,000 Muslims.
Well, that's exactly. So there's no. It's odd that there's all this attempt to get a ceasefire, which is, sure, that's understandable if that's going on with all the other conflicts. There's around 50 conflicts going on in the world right now, and there's no talk of doing anything about.
Well, the whole point about ceasefire is that everybody has to commit to a ceasefire. Where officials of Hamas said we'll do it again and again in terms of attacking civilians and whatnot.
Yeah, because it's also been the Hamas way in the past to attack, and then Israel attacks back, and then instantly we hear a shout for ceasefire. If the ceasefire happens, they celebrate a win. So everything's changed this time with the hostages, I think, really.
Well, that is absolutely seems to be the priority. If they do manage to get back some of the hostages, or even all of the hostages, would that then lessen Israel's case? I don't know why I'm looking at you, Lewis. You're an idiot. I mean, I don't know why I'm coming to you for world politic affairs.
Well, have you ever let hostages go?
How long have you been on Rose?
I've heard you never let go of hostages go.
You know what? A case can be made that I'm a hostage in this country. Maybe it's time for me to go home. Is that Israel historically has weakened its position by giving up, by letting their enemy take hostages. And then paying.
Well, they had 2 hostages taken, and I think they gave 1,000 or whatever.
Yes.
And the person who they gave over last time, one of those 1,000 or so hostages that they gave back, turned out to be the person who masterminded the attack.
Yeah, totally.
So there's more stuff that's going to be.
So I was going to say, it's also, you wonder why they're even discussing it at this point, because it makes you feel that Israel's really scaring them this time. I think Israel's gone much further than they were planning. They thought it would happen, there'd be a bit of an attack, there'd be a ceasefire, that would be it. And what's also happening is, the UNRWA, the UNWRA, who've clearly been very involved with Hamas for a long time. And there's been information coming out. We've known that they help to supply arms, they help to supply educational equipment to the schools. Is not very complimentary to Jewish people, as in kill them. And with tunnels that Israel is saying are going into UNRWA schools, I think the UN is also panicking right now and saying everything's going to come out and it's going to be too obvious soon.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Everybody just wants to get these hostages home. That's the priority.
Well, listen, they're not my children that are there. They're not my family members that are.
Yeah, otherwise you wouldn't care.
But I do care, and I shouldn't care because it's not good for comedy to care. Comedy is not about caring. Sorry, it's not about caring. It's about being disinterested and trying to be funny about it. Yeah. But my personal opinion is I don't think that they should have a ceasefire, Israel. They should just keep on going.
I think they're just talking about a few days. What the best take they have to care about citizens. Also, what we haven't talked about is the momentous pressure on Netanyahu by Israeli citizens to get these, kidnapped victims home. And
Netanyahu's finished, right? I mean, he has to be absolutely finished after this. He's played his hands awfully and let down the country terribly. But yeah, look, let's see what happens. I mean, if they let all the hostages go, I mean, ideally they should let the hostages go and surrender, and then Israel should stop them immediately. That's what
you say that, but then you still have an existential threat on their borders, and that's the next debate. Anyway, oh God, it's too depressing to think about what they're going through.